Welcome back. I'm Arthur Benjamin. This is Farrah White. And we're always excited to tell you about amazing dog rescuers, people who commit their lives to rescuing animals. And Bandit wants to let you know this person who's with us today is absolutely no couch potato.
Absolutely not. Her name is Tawana Couch, and she is the animal rescuer. For over 25 years, she has rescued over 1,000 animals. So let's take a look at her story.
I'm Tawana Couch, and I am the animal rescuer. Last year in 2010, I rescued 121 dogs. I've been rescuing dogs and cats for over 25 years now, and I would say I've rescued at least 1,000 dogs and cats. It's something that happens constantly to me. I can be driving down a road and there's going to be a dog, no joke, that will literally go in front of me. That animal could be end up dead on the street. It could end up being a stray, starving. So it is up to me when I see a stray animal to rescue that animal. There's always a stray animal that needs help. Anywhere I'm going, every day, I always have at least one bag of dog food in my car. Today I have a small trap in the back of my car. It's not always easy, and oftentimes I have to get places where I can start feeding the dog. This could take days, weeks, and at that point I can either trap the dog or, get the dog in my car.
She has a certain knack and ability with these animals. So I'm just there with her as her assistant a lot of times, or just as a friend, and just on the way somewhere, but just to witness what she does is just amazing.
And my deal is get the animal, get it to safety, get it to a veterinarian, and then from there you work on getting the animal homed. I think we all here on earth, humans, have a purpose in life, and my purpose has always been to save animals. And it is my passion, it is my life, it is my goal to save as many animals as I can.
So you've written 2 books on top of this, The Dog Rescuer and Loving Rescue Dogs. They're available at Amazon. And I'm amazed, where does all this passion come from?
Oh, that's a good question. When I first started really realizing the need that all these dogs need help, there were some stray dogs living in a creek area by where I was about 25 years ago. And I thought to myself, where are they getting food? How are they surviving? So I began to feed the dogs. And I was like, okay, this is, I'm helping. And I'm a flight attendant, so I travel a lot. I was out of town, and when I got back in town one day, my sister said, animal control came and got the dogs. And I was like, animal control? I was not familiar with any of this. So I went to the City of Dallas Animal Shelter, and there I was awakened to the enormous problem of so many homeless dogs. And I got involved with the shelter, and I said, I don't want this to happen, because the dogs I had been feeding, it was too late for them. They'd already put them down. So I said, what can I do to save the dogs? I want to save them. So I got involved with rescuing immediately with the City of Dallas. I was probably the very first dog rescuer that the city had. And I literally would go in. I didn't know how to rescue a dog, and I would buy these dogs for adoption. I mean, I was adopting dogs. I think my first year I was adopting 80-something dogs, and trying to come out, okay, I'm adopting this one. Is this one on special? Where am I going to find the money to buy all these dogs? And I would turn around and get them into Operation Kindness, different places like that, going, okay, I'm making room for more dogs. And as time went on, I thought, I've got to go to the back to see the strays and start rescuing those also. So now I do it all.
You're talking about buying the dogs they sell along the side of the street for $5, $10, $20. You're talking about?
No. These were dogs that were actually in adoption at that time in the City of Dallas shelter. Now that's been many years ago. Since then, I thought, well, if I'm doing this, I need to go to the back to the ones that are not making adoption and start pulling them, start helping them. So I quickly learned that. I was afraid at first. I was like, do I want to go back there and see the ones that are not making it? So that's why I would just buy the ones that were in adoption. So as time went on, very quickly, I started going to the back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there are tons and tons of dogs that aren't making it. And that's when I began to rescue and just pull everything I could.
And you take the ones that aren't really adoptable here and you place them in different places in the country?
Yes. We have an organization called Society for Companion Animals. I founded that in 2005. And in 2008, we decided to do research on cities and places that didn't have the overpopulation problem that we have here in the Dallas area. And since 2008, we've rescued and flown over 400 dogs. And we have 5 shelters that work with us on the East Coast primarily, that they beg for us dogs. We are booked through the end of the year. And if they could book even further, they would. We have organizations that are on waiting list. And how we can get them as fast as we can, fly them. We fly anywhere from 10 to 20 dogs a week. And so the demand is high there. And we'll take these dogs at the city, that in the shelter, we go into the city in the shelter in Dallas, and some of them, they're just deemed non-adoptable. Or either they've been in adoption so long, their time's run out. So these are the dogs that we concentrate on. And so we pull them as fast as we can, and we fly them. We have volunteers come in one day. The next day, the dogs are on a plane. They're flying out to safety.
How do you fly them out?
We fly them through airlines, through Continental Airlines, Frontier Airlines. We primarily use them. And we are also very fortunate that Southwest Airlines, the company that I work for, they fly back the used crates. So we're able to utilize the crates so we're not out money every time buying the crate.
So let me ask you a question, because this is a question that comes up to me all the time and I don't know the answer. How safe are the dogs when they're flown underneath the plane?
They're perfectly safe. I work on a plane, and they're put under the cargo. The area and the pilots, I've discussed this with numerous pilots, and they temperature control. They know ahead of time in the manifesto how many dogs you have. In fact, there's some pilots I've heard that literally go down, they check the dogs. They are the last to get on and the first to get off. The issue sometimes when, you hear things about animals flying, a lot of times it's on the ground. Maybe the personnel, they're leaving them out on the ground. And then you have issues with sometimes breeders who send these young puppies when they probably shouldn't be sent. I don't know. But, they come from all sorts of situations. But the animals that we send, the veterinarians, actually most of them come from the city. The city veterinarians look and screen the animals the day before they're flown. They are given health certificates to say, okay, these animals, they have passed and they are ready to fly. So the vets at the city are extremely careful and cautious to make sure the animals are well enough and safe enough to be able to fly.
So
we've never had a problem. And Continental Airlines has what's called a Pet Safe program. A lot of people do not know this. I didn't know it. And because I was concerned like you, Arthur, was like, I want to make sure these animals are going to get there safe. I want their safety priority. And Continental, which is now United Airlines, but they still are carrying on the Pet Safe program. And they have a van that in nearly all their stations, where they fly, these vans are generated, air-conditioned generated, where the temperature is controlled year-round. So we don't have to worry about the heat. We don't have to worry about it's too cold. And when we check those dogs in, they are put on those vans. The generator is running. They are temperature controlled, and they're never exposed to the elements, but literally seconds before they're loaded on the plane.
Well, that's great to know.
That is really good to know.
Pet
A lot of
Safe-
time I'll sit on a plane listening to a dog bark underneath and I'm going,
No.
you can hear them through the floor sometimes when they get a little nervous before the plane takes off.
Yeah.
You hear this barking under your seat. You're wondering what's going on. But it's great it's really great that you have put all of this together, and it's amazing the number of dogs that you personally have picked up off the side of the
Yeah.
road, and it's wonderful to see that people are stopping more today. It's wonderful to see that when you see a dog in the street and you put your flashers on, other people put their flashers on.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, half
they'll
a
stop
dozen
and
people are
help.
running around to try to stop and help you get the dog, but a lot of people don't know what's next. Where do you take the dog? What do you do? If you were giving advice to the average person out here watching the program, and they say, well, I know that happened, but I'm afraid because if I take the dog, put it in my car, now where do I go? What do I do? What do you do?
Well, a lot of times I fear that every week or every day
Yeah.
when I'm out there, because I never know, because I rescue from the street and I also rescue from the shelter. Right now, there are a lot of dogs on the street in Dallas. I mean, I can see anywhere from a dozen to 2 dozen a day. And so you get out there, and if you're fortunate enough to be able to get the dog, now they don't always jump in your car. I've had very few dogs jump in the car, but a lot of times if you talk to the dog, always keep food in the car. Sometimes you don't even need food. Just kind of calm the dog on the street. And if you're fortunate enough to get the dog, put it in your car. For me, I immediately take it to a vet. And the veterinarian, I say, fix the dog, spay neuter, shots, everything the dog needs, let's get it taken care of. And then, we look to find a place.
So you must have quite a few volunteers that help.
We always need more volunteers, always. So we do have a good amount of volunteers, but we're always needing of a lot. And we need lots of fostering.
Oh, good. Yeah, you had
Yes.
mentioned that you had
Lots of
vets
fosters.
check them out in order to get their flying certificates. So I'm assuming that that's a volunteer, and then also probably someone that's calling, making all of the airplane arrangements and helping you that way. So how do you find your volunteers?
Literally, I tell people like yourselves, go to our website, societyforcompanionanimals.org, email us that you would like to volunteer and that you'd like to be on the volunteer list. We utilize volunteers to pick up the dogs at the shelter. The next day you have to be at DFW. Now this is the hard part. The volunteers have to be at the airport between 4 and 4:30 a.m. Well, that's hard for some people, but when you think about it, they can do this right before they go to work. And because we usually
Or before
ship
they
during
go
the
to
week.
sleep.
There you go. And I think I've had people do that.
No traffic.
Literally, I've had people say, we haven't slept all night. Here we are. Or we're on our way to work. So it's that in-between time that, volunteers can, make an effort to come to the airport. And they drop the dogs off. All the dogs are ready, ready to get on the plane.
Now, how does Dallas compare to other homeless animal communities?
In my experience, being a flight attendant, I've traveled, all over the country. I've been a flight attendant for many, many years. And also, traveling abroad. And I have to sadly say that Dallas is, for the stray animals, is one of the top cities in the country.
And you would know because you went to some of the areas of the city that I wouldn't consider safe, and I'm sure you don't consider completely comfortable to go into, because I've heard stories about you from other people.
And I go into South Dallas, which is extremely dangerous. Last night I was there. I had 2 guys literally coming up at me in the car, and I have to drive off. I constantly have to watch my back. I was out with a little dog I was trying to get. I had the food in my hand, almost getting her, and here comes a guy around from a tree, So it's a risk. You have to be careful and cautious, and, it's a tough area, and I'm one of the few people out there that will actually venture into these neighborhoods, probably the only person, and that will go into these neighborhoods to get these strays. They don't do it. These animals, a lot of times, they've been yelled at, shot at, tried to run over. I mean, they are scared.
But you have a lot of friends in that area, too, who watch out for you.
There are a few people I know, yes. A few people, and they've used to me.
So if you're out there
and
and you see Tawana on the street, you don't want to mess with Tawana.
yeah, well, and they do. It's so funny. I'll be driving down the road and I'll ask somebody, hey, do you know where this dog came from? Oh, yeah, you're the woman I helped, last year. Oh, you're the one I helped this dog. So they kind of know me. They know my car, and
Let's
the
talk about
dogs know
some of
my
the dogs.
car.
Yes, well, you've got some pictures of some of the dogs.
Okay.
Right, so let's talk. So we've got And I
Eddie
don't
and
know if
Lily?
they've got them. Yes, we've got a Eddie and Lily, which I don't know if we'll actually show the picture that coincides with the animal name. But tell us about some of these babies.
Yeah, this is Eddie and Lily. And there is a postal lady in South Dallas who she will tell me about the dogs. And she'll say, okay, she said, well, Tawana, I have these 2 dogs and they're in pretty bad shape.
Look at
They've
that
got
mange.
mange very severely. They're living in an abandoned house, which is not uncommon in South Dallas. A lot of abandoned houses, a lot of abandoned dogs. And the dogs take refuge oftentimes in these houses. And so when she showed me the dogs, I was like, she goes, well, can you save them? And I'm like, I'm going to try. And that's what you do. You try. And so Eddie hopped in the truck. We had our truck. Eddie hopped right in, and he's the white one, the one that had the worst severe mange. Lily, his girlfriend, we had to trap her. And we took him to the vet, and I was like, oh boy, now finding home for pit bulls or pit bull mixes are extremely hard. And a guy named Stephen Pyler actually contacted me and said, I want to help. I will foster the dogs, get them looking better. And Stephen is there with Eddie and Lily now, and I'm happy to say 3 years later, Eddie and Lily has a permanent home with Stephen.
Wonderful.
And he loves him dearly. And
Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah.
yes, Stephen's awesome. And Stephen is a big rescuer himself. He lives up by Denton, Texas, and he constantly rescues dogs in that area. So thank you, Stephen, for all he does. In fact, I've got him going on a dog right now, another pit bull I recently rescued, Dottie, who has mange also.
Aw.
And we're hoping that Stephen and other people can help me with Dottie. So
And now who is Brewster?
Brewster Brewster is one that I found in the woods, and he had mange also. So a lot of times these dogs have mange. They're missing a lot of hair. Brewster was probably more than likely he was born feral to a feral mom and never found the mother. And there were 2 of them that had severe mange that survived. A lot of feral dogs, even within a city, you never know if they've ever had a home or they've survived in the woods. And Brewster came out of the woods, and anyway, I trapped Brewster, and years later, we can say it's a wonderful home. He got better. And mange is curable. Lots of people will dump animals or think, oh my gosh, I can't touch a mange dog. And there's 2 kinds. There's Demodex and Sarcoptic. One is contagious to humans, and that is Sarcoptic mange.
And how do you know what that looks
You
like?
don't know until the vet gets them and tests them. So oftentimes when I'm rescuing these dogs and touching them, in fact, Dottie, the one I just recently rescued 2 weeks ago, she's jumping all over me. She's in my lap. This is a 45-pound, pit bull that she's so happy. She smiles.
Aw,
she jumps in my lap.
She's smiling.
And she's like, and I'm sitting there licking my face, and I'm going, I'm going to be covered with mange tomorrow. I'll be itching like crazy. You break out in a little rash. Luckily,
It's curable.
Luckily, Dottie had Demodex, so it was not contagious to humans, so I had nothing. But even if you get it, a lot of people don't be afraid of it, because if you get the sarcoptic mange, the mites don't like humans. They might try to kind of test us. We might get a little itch for a day or 2, a little rash, and it goes away. So by the time, you don't even have to put anything on it. It's very mild. And they don't
Good to
like
know.
us. They don't like
Yeah.
us humans. They just
How many
like
dogs do you have right now you're looking to place?
I have 5 dogs now that I'm needing to place. One is Dottie, and she has mange, but she's been treated. She also has heartworms. She's getting treatment Monday, and she'll be ready, we're hoping, in about 6 weeks for adoption. She's perfectly friendly, smiles at you.
Well,
Wonderful
let's see if
dog.
we can help her find a home, help you find her a home. To find out more about Tawana and her mission to save dogs, you can see her online at societyforcompanionanimals.org or theanimalrescuer.com. And you can also find copies of her books on her website or on Amazon.com. So thank you so much, Tawana, for being here and all that you do.
And we'll be right back.
That's right.
Welcome back to The Love of Dogs. I'm Arthur Benjamin, and Bandit here is asleep again, here with Farrah White, and we're going to show you that a picture is worth 1,000 words and 10,000 in dog rescue.
Absolutely, and especially in the case of animal adoptions, it really can make a difference. One Dallas photographer can vouch for that firsthand. Steve Hartman from CBS actually took some pictures, and he's going to introduce us to a local woman who is making a difference with pet adoptions. Let's watch that story.
Look here.
Teresa Berg of Dallas, Texas, is a professional pet photographer
Hi, sweetie.
with a major league pet peeve.
Good girl. It could be so much more appealing.
Her issue, bad dog adoption photos.
That's not the ideal pose, I take it?
I would think not.
Shelters and rescues post these pictures to try and entice people to adopt.
Would you invite him into your home?
But Teresa says the effect is often just the opposite, that thousands of dogs are euthanized every year for no other reason than bad marketing.
I can't stand the thought of, for want of a good picture, that a dog goes homeless.
That's why, a few years ago,
Hi, Liberty.
Teresa started working for homeless dogs, pro bono, if you will, volunteering to take their adoption photos.
Give me a star.
She worked almost exclusively with a dachshund rescue group run by Kathleen Coleman.
We were getting adoptions, but it was just slow going.
So, Teresa retook all the pictures of all the dogs Kathleen had posted online, brought them in focus and put them in pearls, got them out of jail and onto the couch, and replaced the Nick Nolte mugshots with dog fancy cover shots. After the retakes, every one of these dogs got adopted in record time, and today, adoptions at the rescue are up 100%.
Pictures make a difference. That dog looks like it could be my friend.
This was Liberty's picture. The day after it was posted, 3 people called to adopt her.
How are you? Welcome.
Teresa is now determined to multiply her results by training volunteers from other rescues and shelters, and by persuading other professional photographers to lend their cameras to the cause.
If every photographer just took in one rescue group, we could save so many more dogs. We really could.
She's talking tens of thousands of lives.
Hi.
Picture
Okay, Bandit, smile. Bandit.
So
how you
look
do
at
it.
that picture.
Look
Just
at
look
that.
at that. So here's a rescue. Look
Yes.
at his picture.
Yes.
And, if you read a description of a Shih Tzu, it's not like saying, hey, look at this, the Bandit. So it is an amazing thing that Teresa does. And it's a great invitation to our audience. You don't have to be a professional photographer. If you're a hobbyist, go down to your local rescue, take pictures for them, and help them post it on the website, or give them the set of pictures and let them have their website people put those pictures up on their website. They're all shorthanded.
Yeah.
And it's just somebody who can take good pictures.
Absolutely, and there are so many pictures you see on Facebook and online, different things, so many pictures of animals anyway. People really do enjoy taking pictures of animals, so
Well,
why not do it?
speaking of pictures, I'm in New York City having lunch yesterday, and I'm walking across the street, and Big Barry from America's Got Talent? There goes this little guy in a white tuxedo, and I go, Barry, Bandit wants a picture with you. And amazingly, look at this.
There he is. Look, Bandit's eyeballing.
Bandit
too.
was in his little halter, so I was not, that is not animal abuse. I was holding him by a handle, and he's very comfortable that way. And he was just trying to get up to Barry's height.
He
so
just
that,
wanted a white tuxedo too.
Yeah, he was wearing a white
funny.
tuxedo. But Barry was really good. We didn't get a chance to do a movie mode with him, but he sang a little bar from a Frank Sinatra song
Nice.
on the corner there. It was a lot of fun.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun.
A picture
And you
is
got
worth
picture.
1,000 words.
It is, and how convenient, because we're talking about pictures.
Yeah.
But anyone can do that, really. So if you have the time, take some pictures of our furry friends.
It's how you can help.
Yeah.
Tawana earlier was talking about a dog crossing the street as you're driving along, and that you can pick it up. And unlike her, you may not have the resources or may not
Sure.
have the inclination to take them to a vet and then take on the adoption. There are no-kill shelters all over the Dallas area
Right.
that will work with you. There's Paws in the City, there's Operation Kindness, there's, you can make a difference. You can make a difference by talking a restaurant into giving their leftovers to a shelter. You can make a difference by taking pictures of dogs. You can make a difference by going down to your local rescue and volunteering a few hours of your time. You can take all your change when you come home at night, as I do, and throw it in a jar. And at the end of the month or the end of 2 months, when the jar is full, take it down to your local shelter and just hand them a jar. It really didn't cost you anything.
Right.
It's a couple of cents a day. And
You don't
it
even
adds up.
feel that.
You don't.
So that's nice. Well, and you know, in Tawana's case, she even said she's got a couple of packs of dogs that she's been going after, some of them for even over a year. So these animals do need our help, and they do need our support.
So there are
and-
brave people like Tawana, but
Yes.
you don't have to be brave. You don't have to be the
don't
one
have
to
to be
go
a
into
Tawana.
South Dallas. You don't have to be, you can be a couch potato.
Absolutely.
And you can still make a difference with rescues.
Yeah, which is super important. She was pretty cool.
She's a very cool lady. I mean, there are very few people like that, and there's a place in heaven. For they say you walk across the Rainbow Bridge, and every dog that you've ever known in your life that you helped is there to greet you.
Yeah, see, well, she's got a lot of them waiting there, and we saw some great pictures of those dogs, too, that she has.
Speaking of that,
Yes.
I got a minute. You're making a movie on dogs.
I am making a movie on dogs.
And American Dog Rescue is involved.
American Dog Rescue is involved, and if you will be so gracious, we want to put you in a scene, so you'll have to come down.
Well, I'll make a scene. I know that much.
Right, you can try. I wanted to mention on that, you can always find out more about American Dog Rescue, and I'm sure at some point we'll have some stuff up there of Champion with it. But and so for the love of dogs, you can find out more about us on AmericanDogRescue.org, actually, and be sure and follow us on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, because we need your support.
And the older episodes of this program are up on the website, so you
Yeah.
can go back and watch on any topic you'd like.
Yep.
They're all categorized there, and you can choose the topics you'd like to watch.
Yeah, so big thanks to Tawana Couch, but we've had many great guests, so check us out.
And we'll be back next week.